Everybody's talking about OpenAI's DevDay, and rightfully so because they released some really major updates and upgrades. But instead of like going through summarizing this blog post from OpenAI or just summarizing this keynote and stream that they did yesterday, because everybody's already doing it. If you look if you scroll YouTube on OpenAI DevDay, you see that. But I decided to give you something different, something much more practical, and I'm talking about code. So for me, the most exciting part of this DevDay was the OpenAI API updates. And I spent several hours today playing with them and testing them. And I'm going to give you this notebook with some examples and in which I just exposed and played with DALL-E 3 because I was really happy that DALL-E 3 is now available over OpenAI API. And there is this GPT-4 Turbo and GPT-4 Vision. So what we already had as GPT Plus users, is GPT-4 Vision, is now available over OpenAI API. And just so you know, you'll find everything on my GitHub. This is the notebook, and I will paste the link into the description. So check this out. And before I move on, I just want to tell you something very interesting, because by mistake, I posted my OpenAI API key into this GitHub repo. I've published it, and I got like this OpenAI API key disabled because they saw it was leaked on my GitHub, which happened for the first time to me. Just so you know that OpenAI also does that if you accidentally post your API key, because I didn't plan to do that. And now, okay, enough of the introduction. Let's move to the code itself. So I'm using my local Python notebook, and I'm on Anaconda, and I just created this OpenAI environment. But everything I installed was OpenAI and Python.env because that's what I'm using to load my OpenAI API key. So let's just start with how to create this OpenAI API key, because they also did some major actually update on interface, on the platform interface. So to generate your OpenAI API key, you just click on this link, and for this project, let's just create a new key, and you do it by creating a new secret key. Let's call it tests and create a secret key. And if you use my notebook, you just copy it and then go to the project, go to the .env file and paste it, save it. And then when you click done, you will not be able to see this OpenAI key anymore. So once I click done, I can't do anything with that anymore. Yeah, so back to the project. First, we will just load this OpenAI API key, and we'll start with DALL-E 3 because that's what I was the most excited about. And then because I didn't really expect that they will do it already. So let me just go through the basic example. So I just initialize this OpenAI client, and then to generate images with DALL-E 3, I go with client images generate. I need to set the model to DALL-E 3 because by default it's DALL-E 2. And then I can just use a prompt. And what's important, prompt max characters are 4,000 right now. And then size 1,000 and 1,000. And here's the information that there are 3 available sizes. So it's like a square, a horizontal and vertical, and those horizontal verticals are 7:4 and 4:7 aspect ratios. And then there is this quality standard, and from quality you can use standard or HD for high definition, and there's also this style, and it's vivid or natural. Vivid is default, and it's more hyper real. And yeah, you can generate only one image at a time. Right now, you can potentially create more than that if you call this function in a loop. But anyways, it is capped to 1, 5, 7, or 15 per minute, and it depends on the tire that you're in, because that's also something new that OpenAI introduced, like different tires for users. I'm tire 3 right now, so I can create up to 7 images per minute with DALL-E. And if you want to read more, you can go to this cookbook. So let me just, create the first image, and I just use a basic prompt, an adorable baby rabbit hopping in a field. And let me just run this cell. And what's interesting, the DALL-E, what you get in response, it is a URL with the image. And also very, very important thing is that, so this is the URL. It just generated. When I call it, I see this URL, and then when I click on it, it redirects me to this image, which is pretty impressive. I love this image. But what's important is that after 1 hour, this link won't be valid anymore. So this image will be deleted, but if you want to save it on your computer, you just right click, save image as, and save it locally on your machine. But okay, so this was the most basic example on how to generate images with DALL-E 3, and it's squares, 1024 times 1024 pixels. And so let me just play with the prompt itself a little bit more, because I didn't specify anything in here, like an adorable baby rabbit. I want to play with some different types of images. So I want to create a photo, a cartoon, and an illustration. And I've just created this function that that uses the same response as here, but I pass some more parameters to the function. And let's start just with generating 3 different illustrations, the 3 different images, but instead of taking just the prompt, I will say a photo of an adorable rabbit, a cartoon, or an illustration. And right now I will use them in a loop. So I should get 3 generate image, sorry. So I should get 3 different images, one of the same rabbit. One should be a photo, one should be a cartoon, and one should be an illustration. So let's wait for the results. Okay, I've got them. It took 35 seconds to create 3 images. And right now I've got 3 URLs. So let me click on the first one, and that's a photo again. So this time I got a slightly different image, but still very nice. And so when I go here and click another one, that should be the cartoon and then the illustration. So let's see, this is the illustration and this is the cartoon. So I've got, the same description of the prompt, an adorable baby rabbit hopping in a field, but I've created a photo, a cartoon, or an illustration. So this is pretty cool. I like the cartoon, and then this illustration is also very, very nice. But let's play with some more parameters. And I want to show you the style as I mentioned before, there is style of vivid and natural, and vivid is default. So those 3 images actually use a vivid style. And now I'll do the same, but so I'll call the 3 identical prompts. So a photo of this adorable baby rabbit cartoon illustration, but instead of vivid, I'll use natural. So let me run it and get back to you when I've got the results. Okay, cool, I've got them. So let me just click on the URLs for these naturals. First, there's a photo, then there's this cartoon, and then illustration. So here's the photo, and let me just maybe compare like this. This was a photo of natural, and this was a photo of vivid, and I like vivid much more. Natural, vivid, and so I'd say vivid wins this time. And then this was the cartoon in vivid, and what's the cartoon of natural? Okay, it's also pretty nice. It's maybe not so baby rabbit, but it's nice. And then it was the previous illustration and natural illustration. I like the vivid much more again. So, but you know, just some tests for you to experiment with. So you've got the code here, and there is one more test I want to just try. And like I mentioned, there's quality, which is standard and high definition. So I'll create 3 images in high definition, and it should take around 1 minute. So again, I'll get back to you. Okay, so it took 50 seconds. So it was slightly like 50% longer than this standard quality, but let's see if it was worth it. So I've got the URLs, and right now, so I'll maybe just close those natural ones. And again, because I didn't specify, I did not specify this style, it means it's vivid. So we've got high definition vivid. So let's see the photo, the cartoon, and the illustration. So first the photo. Okay, I mean, I like both of them. I wouldn't say which one I prefer. Now, this cartoon is completely different. I don't know if it misunderstood, or maybe it just created this 3D cartoon. And then the illustration. So it was the old one, standard, and now high definition. So you can see it's different because this one is much more realistic, but those eyes, this is quite weird, to be honest. So I'd say I prefer this one because that's an illustration, and this is, for me, this is too realistic. So for high definition, you pay slightly more because it's of the quality, but in many cases, it is probably something that you want to try. But again, this guide has only, experimental purposes and just to show you what's possible. Okay, that's it for DALL-E 3. So let's move to GPT-4 Turbo. I'm starting with Turbo because that's right now it's going to be kind of a new best GPT-4. And to use this model, you will have to choose this name, the GPT-4, like the day, yesterday's date, 11/06, and preview. So the upgrades is that it will be cheaper, higher rate limits. I've got like 40,000 compared to 10,000. This 128K context window, that looks really impressive. I haven't tested it, but it really increases the number of possibilities, and they claim it's updated to April 2023, like the knowledge cutoff is at the beginning of this year. Improved function calling and sit for deterministic output. I just decided to test this updated to April 2023 and the seed because I find it really interesting, and because it gives some new possibilities, I will just show you that. So the knowledge cutoff. So again, I'm using this model I just mentioned, and I've just created this function to generate responses. As default, I'm using GPT-4, so the previous, like this, what was standard for in the past months. And I'm just telling it it's helpful assistant who provides information, and I'm passing the prompt. And it returns the answer. So, okay, let me just run it. And I'm asking who is the current World Cup champion, and I'm waiting for the response. And because the previous GPT-4 had this knowledge cutoff in 2021, I'm expecting it to tell me about France, because I'm asking about football. Okay, interesting. It's giving me like, oh, World Cup champion. Maybe I should have written FIFA, but okay, I meant football, because I'm in Europe, I don't say soccer. And so it says France, which is of course true in 2018, 2021, but not in 2023. So I'm asking the same question, but passing this GPT-4 Turbo model, and I'm expecting to see Argentina because of 2022 FIFA World Cup, our French national football team tournament in Russia. That's so weird. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't get it. Who is the current FIFA World Cup champion? Let me just run again. FIFA World Cup champion. Okay, the current FIFA World Cup champion is Argentina. Argentina won the 2022 World Cup held in Qatar. Okay, that's updated. And I want to play with seed a little bit because that's very interesting. Because what they claim is that right now you can make models more deterministic while keeping the high temperature. So in my example, let me just use this example because that will be easier to illustrate. And I'm saying you are a helpful assistant who specializes in writing short stories, and then write a short story about topics. So that's the function. I will provide a topic. And in my case, I'm using this little red fox. And until now, to get always the same response, you had to set the temperature to 0, like the same prompt, the same output. So there was this trade-off between reasoning and randomness and creativity. So you had to set the low temperature to get deterministic responses, but you also knew that your GPT models have lost its creativity. So it was a trade-off. And right now you can keep the high temperature, and the model will be very creative and will output the random responses. However, you can reproduce those responses thanks to using the same seed. What I mean by now, so I will write a short story which will be quite creative because of high temperature, because of this high temperature. And at the beginning, I will just generate a short story. Let me run the function. I will run this short story. And it's creative right now. So it's like once upon a time, a Greenwood Forest, Rufus. And as a fun fact, it is always Rufus. I have no idea why. And I'm using I'm calling the same function again, and I'm getting a short story, but it's slightly different. But again, it's Rufus. But if you see, there is no Greenwood Forest in my story right now. And yeah, it's slightly different. And right now I will call the same function, but I will use seed1. So I will get a new story again, which will be different from the previous two. So in a lush of vibrant forest, trees whispered ancient secrets. There lived a little red fox named Rufus. And right now, because I'm using the same, I'm calling the same function again, but with this and with the same seed, I will get the exact same story. Because I'm using this seed. So not only is this story very creative, but it's also reproducible, which is very, very new and very practical. And right now, because I will call the same function again with seed, but with a different seed, I should get a different story compared to these two previous two. And it is different. And it's Ruby, okay? For the first time I see Ruby. I even ask it, so why is it always Rufus? So yeah, that's it. I've explored these two capabilities, like this updated to April 2023 and this seed for deterministic outputs, although they are creative. And that should create some very, very interesting use cases for GPT-4 Turbo. And now it's time to move to GPT-4 Vision. And GPT-4 Vision, that's the model name that you will want to use. But what's important, it is the same model. So its capabilities are the same when it comes to text generation. However, it's just upgraded with vision. And OpenAI claims they use the same model, but a different system prompt. And they say the text generation is equally powerful, and it's great at what's telling on the image, and it understands relationships between objects on the image, but they're not so great at locating objects. So you can ask what's on the table, but if you ask where on the image is the table, it may be wrong about like saying top right corner or something. It's not good at that, at locating. And also because we are now adding some, not only the prompt, our function will be slightly different. So let's start with the very basic usage. And it will be what's on the image. And I will use this URLs HD photo. So I will use this photo I have just generated with DALL-E. Let me just add message content. So I see only output, and I'm asking what's in this image. And again, I'm using this URLs HD. Let me just confirm I'm using this one. URLs HD 0. Yeah, that's this rabbit. And let me run it. It takes longer than I thought. I mean, it was very fast. This image shows an adorable young rabbit sitting in the grass. And the rabbit is fluffy with a mix of light and dark fur. Cool. It's a sunny day. Yes, it is. And there is a soft glow of sunlight in the background, suggesting either early morning or late afternoon. Like, really impressive. So yeah, our GPT-4 got eyes, and it sees our images. Awesome. So this was the most basic usage, and right now I've prepared, and for more advanced tests, I've prepared this code to compare several images, and I will use your styles. So those were these 3 images. And I'm passing all, so that's a short loop I've created to prepare this content that I'm passing to my create function. And I'm just asking what's the difference between images. And I'm interested what it will come up with. let's see while it's processing, because it has 3 images to process, it may take slightly longer. 8 seconds, not so bad. And let's see. The first image is a digital artwork of a bunny that has more realistic appearance. The second image is a drawing, cartoonish. It's a digital artwork, leans toward overall the image is a common subject but differ in artistic style and execution. The first image aims for realism, the second cartoonish and realism. Okay, it's not perfect because I don't know why it says it's illustration. I thought it was very realistic. So maybe I was wrong about something, but it said that the first and the third are very similar in style. I disagree with that, but just the first test. So it's not perfect yet, maybe, or maybe I did something wrong. I don't know right now, to be honest. And yeah, but we use those URLs right now in order to read images. But what if we want to use local images and it turns out it's not so simple? You can't just pass the path to your images right like this. You need to prepare this base 64. It means in bytes. You need to convert image to bytes first in order to pass them to GPT-4 Vision. But again, like I said, I want to give you something practical, and this is the code that does it for you. So first I'm converting this image, and that's just a mastery by Robert Greene, just a photo of the cover, and then there's this short this simple image that talks about shiny object syndrome. And I've converted both of them. And first I'm asking about, okay, let me just convert and let me ask, describe the image in detail. What does it represent? That's my prompt, and I'm passing my mastery. And let's see what we get. Interesting. I don't know why it took it, why it took 26 seconds. I mean, I don't know what's the difference between like the previous examples when it took like 8 seconds for three images or 4 seconds to describe an image, but maybe this, in detail changes something. And yeah, it shows a portion of a book cover with a graphic design. The title Mastery is prominently displayed in the center. Okay, the top of the cover, Robert Greene. Cover designs is simple yet bold, utilizing contrast. Okay, that's very, very interesting and very good description. And the last one, just as a reminder, I'm using this shiny object syndrome visual. Feature is horizontal bar, increasing. So it describes what it sees like visually, and then it tries to describe what's the metaphor. Shiny object syndrome is a metaphor of values in context of business and personal productivity. Tendency of people to get distracted by new and novel ideas or projects rather than staying focused on their current tasks or long-term goals. Amazing. I love it. This video is already longer than I expected, but I hope that it is helpful for you. I went through some basic examples and like those capabilities I was the most excited about. And I hope that this code will also help you to get started and actually play with those great new features in OpenAI API. So yeah, stay tuned. I will definitely keep posting about OpenAI API, about those. And because I'm so interested in AI agents, that's the game changer also for AutoGen and the other frameworks that create teams of AI assistants. So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe because you can expect more on that in the next weeks. Yeah. Thank you for today, and I'll see you in the next one.